দল আমাকে সর্বভারতীয় তৃণমূল কংগ্রেসের সাধারণ সম্পাদক পদে মনোনীত করেছে। আমি মমতা বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায়ের কাছে কৃতজ্ঞ এবং তাদের সুচিন্তিত নির্দেশ আগামী দিন তৃণমূল কংগ্রেসকে ভারতবর্ষের বিভিন্ন রাজ্যে বিভিন্ন স্তরে সংগঠনের প্রসার ঘটাতে আমাকে সাহায্য করবে।
रीता जोशी ने जो कहा कि सचिन से बात करी है, हो सकता है ना सचिन तेंदुलकर से बात करी हो, मेरे से बात करने की हिम्मत नहीं है।
Well, the dust has settled on the exit of Jitin Prasad from the Congress to the BJP. But this week, I'm going to be focusing on two young politicians from two different political parties and whether they are the ones we need to watch out for. I'm Pallavi Ghosh, and my one take asks this question, that will these two netas actually be a turnaround moment for their respective parties, or are we just seeing too much into it? I'm talking about Abhishek Banerjee of the Trinamool Congress and Sachin Pilot of the Congress party. Let's begin with the focus on Abhishek Banerjee first. Now, the entire Bengal elections, the narrative was actually woven around not just the corruption scam of Mamata Banerjee and her close aides, but also what was called the Bhaipo syndrome, or the nephew, which is Abhishek Banerjee. In fact, some of the leaders who left the party also said that we're leaving because of Prashant Kishore's dictatorial style, and also the fact that someone who's come from such recent background, who did not work up from down, Abhishek Banerjee, why should he call the shots and why should he have so much of importance in the party? I think Mamata Banerjee, who was maintaining a little distance from her nephew during the last stages of her campaign, was waiting to see what the results will be all about. Astounding results, very high majority, and she silenced all her opponents. And that's when she decided to strike back. And how did she do that? Abhishek Banerjee was given an important post. Now, you must be seeing pictures of Abhishek Banerjee meeting with all the senior leaders of the Trinamool Congress. Typical Bengali style, touching their feet, going to their homes, sharing mishti and talking about their future, and also asking for their ashirwad or their blessings for his future. The reason why he becomes important now is because the ambition of Mamata Banerjee is no longer hidden. On day one of her victory speech, she made it very clear that she was reaching out to other political parties, like-minded ones, and she was looking at a national picture for herself. In fact, in sound bites after sound bites, she's using the COVID crisis to make the point that this is time for chief ministers of the opposition regime to come together and to take on the BJP. And in fact, Abhishek Banerjee also, in his tweets and when he thanked the party for the position he was given by Mamata Banerjee, also seems to be making the same kind of noise as well as a narrative. Well, that's it. That's going to be the role of Abhishek Banerjee. Someone who's a member of parliament, who's going to be here in Delhi whenever the parliament is going to be in session, savvy, English speaking, Bangla speaking, also Hindi. He will have a connect with many of the young leaders across other political parties, perhaps say relatively young, I would say. In politics, one is always young. For example, MK Stalin, as far as the DMK is concerned, Akhilesh Yadav in the Samajwadi Party, also talking to Arvind Kejriwal. So far, he's been focusing in Kolkata, where he's meeting his party colleagues, but he's going to step out of Bengal. Remember, he went for the swearing-in ceremony in Chennai also. That was a very important indicative. So, Abhishek Banerjee will come to play an important role, and I think the party has now come to accept it. For example, when Mukul Roy decided to join the Trinamool Congress once again, and in fact, if you remember earlier, he had also said this, that one of the reasons why he had left TMC was because he was feeling sidelined as new people were coming up. But who put that scarf around him? It was Abhishek Banerjee. Who sat next to him? Abhishek Banerjee. Mamata Banerjee sat a little apart from Mukul Roy, who escorted him out of stage. It was again Abhishek Banerjee. I think the writing was very clear on the wall that Abhishek Banerjee's new role has now come to be accepted by the party, and that's the kind of role he's going to play for the TMC, where it's now going to try and emerge out of its picture of being a regional party restricted to West Bengal, somewhat in Tripura, but now going to play a larger national role. It may not be immediately contesting elections in state after state, because that would be over ambitious. The first step, and that's a very steady, slow step which is going to be taken and guarded, is going to be performed by Abhishek Banerjee, where he, I'm being told by my sources, is going to now step out of Kolkata increasingly, speak to other politicians, carry Mamata Banerjee's message. He will live definitely under the shadow of Mamata Banerjee, but I think that messaging will be very clear to anyone who wants to speak to on the TMC that here is Abhishek Banerjee. He is the point person who's going to be doing business and discussing all those deals. It's also going to be a thumbs down to the BJP that you attacked us over the hypo syndrome. We care a damn. Here you have it. He's the one who's now going to be the face of the TMC outside of West Bengal. This is as far as I'm talking about Abhishek Banerjee. Let's shift focus to Sachin Pilot. Now, Pilot has played his cards much smarter this time round. Unlike last time where he earned the tag of being a rebel and therefore incurred disciplinary action because he was removed as a PCC chief and as a deputy chief minister. He was sitting over here in Delhi. He was huddled with all his supporters. This time round, what he's done, he's come to Delhi. He's sitting alone. He only spoke to Ajay Makar on the phone, not meeting his supporters, telling his supporters to be away, but his supporters are doing the talking for him. They are saying that he's shown his patience. He has not spoken out against the Congress party. He's made it clear very time and again, and he did that in a soundbite to Rita Bahuguna Joshi that I'm never ever going to join the BJP, but I have been patient. You always tell that if you had been patient, you would have got what you wanted. Well, I've been that. So it is now your time to fulfill that promise. In the midst of all the talk of cabinet reshuffle taking place in Rajasthan and on boards and corporations where Sachin Pilot people are likely to be accommodated, he has played a very smart role and thereby possibly secured his future in the Congress party. Now, if he gets what he does for the sake of his supporters, his clout vis-a-vis his supporters definitely increases, because what are you if you're not able to get that benefit for your supporters or aides in the party? That's going to be one advantage for him. But more than that, he's also going to reassure the high command that I have not rebelled. I have not become like a Jitin Prasad or Jyotiraditya Scindia. I'm unhappy with the state of things, but I want it for my people. I've earned it. I've worked hard. It's time to give it to me. In fact, Sachin Pilot and his close people told me very categorically that you give what I have been promised and I'll do anything the party wants me to do. Even if that means coming over here to Delhi, becoming a general secretary or working for the party organization. That is definitely likely to increase his clout within the Congress party, and at a time when the Gandhis are looking for loyalty, when they're looking for people by their side, high profile leaders, Sachin Pilot may actually play a very important role in that context and fit the bill, and thereby the increase in the power of Sachin Pilot. I'm getting a lot of reactions on my timeline. Many of them, of course, very condescending and critical of the role of Abhishek Banerjee, but such is politics. A decision has been taken, a decision has been made, and now we'll have to wait and watch to see whether these young leaders can actually deliver. Whether when we are looking at a chain or a churning out moment, when in 2024, Modi will have to face electorate once again, and every opposition political party will actually have to come out with out-of-box thinking. Will these so-called young new boys help in that out-of-box thinking for their respective political parties? Do give in your reactions on the social media timeline. We are going to be back with more episodes next week. That's it for now. Thank you very much.